What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews, and today I'm going to take you through my best bets on this upcoming two-game slate. And I'll start by saying, damn, I said Aaliyah Boston would be primed for a big game against the Spark, and she dominated them ladies with 24 points and 14 rebounds. And my conservative ass didn't take the bet, though. It sucks to be right sometimes. But before we jump into today's bets, let's do a quick recap from the last video. First, we had Odyssey Sims over points and assists. That cashed in the third quarter. Pretty easy money. VIP also cashed on the same game parlay for her to score 15 points with 6 assists. Then we also hit on Derek Hamby under 25.5 points and rebounds. Always a sweaty bet. Hamby always seems to rack up stats in the fourth quarter, but we cash it. VIP also hit on the same game parlay on her to go under her points and under her rebound. So Rickea Jackson, that was the only loss on the day. And if you would have asked me which was I most confident in, it would have been her. So, man, I don't know. I put some post up on X earlier today, and it's just something to do with these pretty girls. Dejanay Carrington, Satu Sabali, Rickea Jackson, they haven't got it done for me. I must not be seeing shit right, but I'm going to hopefully avoid some pretty girls in this one. But yeah, VIP to cash out a couple units profit once again. If you're interested in checking out VIP, you can use the code WIN and get 50% off the next 3 months. I think there's only 3 or 4 redemptions available left with that discount, so lock it in real quick. More reason to lock it in. NFL, that's on. College football, that's started. I've already put down a lot of bets on college football. And I've already placed my bets and shared it with VIP for this first game between the Ravens and the Chiefs. There's a lot more to come. VIP's where the value is, so check it out. 50% off. Use the code WIN and ride these bets with me. Now let's jump straight into it. We're going to share Outlier the way that we always do. Now Outlier is my go-to tool when it comes to all these player props. It's where I get my data from, and it's what's made me so much money in the last 6 months since I started using them. First play that we're looking in is in between the Storm and the Liberty. First up, my thought process on this whole game. I think the Liberty should cover the spread here. The Storm have been on some terrible road trip, 2 back-to-back games against Connecticut. Whilst those 2 back-to-back games were happening, the Liberty were resting the whole time. The last time the Liberty played was last week against the Storm. So they've had a very lengthy break. They should be well rested, whereas the Storm team's been battling out there. So they've had some tough games, and I'm looking to fade some Storm players. Well, one in particular. So we're looking at my fellow Australian. Now, she doesn't look Australian, and neither do I, but we both call Australia home. Ezi Magbagor. I'm looking at under 17.5 points and rebounds for her. Might be a sweaty player, but look, that's what unders is all about. Now, she's got a tough matchup in this game. Her minutes are on the decline, and she's at the end of a very long road trip. Let's take a look at these minutes real quick. You can see it here. Past 5 games, they're really starting to drop off. Now, one thing to call out here, she's actually covered this line of 17.5. She's hit the over in 70% of games, which is wild. Check that out. Averaging 20.9 points and rebounds, but as of late, has been terrible. She's only covered in 2 out of her last 7, 2 out of her last 8, 3 out of her last 10. My apologies. And I call out those numbers because it's post the Olympic break. Now, over her last 5 games specifically, we're seeing a lot less minutes here for Ezi Magbagor compared to her season averages. Plus, she's taking 3 less shots. Now, what the fuck happened 5 games ago? Well, Gabby Williams came back to the Storm. She's added another dimension to their offense, but it leaves Ezi further down the priority list on offense. Now, Ezi Magbagor, she's played the Liberty twice this season. She went under in both games. 17 points and rebounds in the first game, 7 points and rebound in the most recent one in her newly found diminished role. Now, one thing to keep in mind, which gives me a bit of confidence in this play, is in that very first game against the Liberty, where she's had 17 points and rebounds, the Storm were without Ogwumike, so Ezi had a much higher usage rate in that game. Now, in 3 games without Ogwumike, she averages 26 points and rebounds without her in the lineup. So safe to say that 17, it's a massive underperformance compared to how she's played against other teams. Now, with Nyeka and Gabby in the lineup, plus she's got the matchup with Jonquil Jones or Brianna Stewart, I think it's going to be tough for her to meet these numbers, and she can also come into some foul trouble. So join me in fading my fellow Australian, Ezi Magbagor, under her points and rebounds prop. My next look, we're staying in this same game, and I'm going to go with Sabrina today. And for Sabrina, looking at her assist prop, looking at over 5.5 assists. Let me get that shit up. All right, this. So she's got an excellent matchup in this game against Seattle. And this is a pick that's going to be missed by many if you rely on just recent form. As you can see here, she's only hit this in 4 out of the last 10 games, averaging 5 assists. So why'd you take the over 5.5? Well, I've dissected the Storm's defense. They have the fourth best defensive rating in the season. Oh, jeez. Had a big lunch. They have the fourth best defensive rating this season, but the weak point in their whole scheme is that they give up a whole lot of points in the paint. They allow the second most points in the paint this season. They're fucking great at defending the ball handler in the pick and roll. They're actually number 1 in the whole league, but they're actually the worst in defending the roller. So Sabrina, she runs most of her actions out of the pick and roll. And whilst I'm not as confident in taking her point sign of 20.5, I think Jones, Stewart, Sabali, they'll be rolling to the rim all night, and I can see Sabrina dropping some dimes. I've even crunched the numbers. Against the 3 teams which allow the most points in the paint, Sabrina's over this line in 8 out of 10 games. In her 2 games against the Storm this season, she rattled off 8 assists in both of them. It wasn't a fluke. It was done by design. So I don't see how this changes because she scored 20 and 25 points in the 2 games against the Storm. I imagine they'd be more focused on limiting her points, forcing her to pass that ball a little bit more. So 5.5 assists for Sabrina Ionescu. I was close to taking points plus assists, but let's not fuck around here. 5.5 assists, give me the over. All right, they're my only picks in that game. I obviously have some high value singles, same game value plays, all that type of shit, but VIP members have already been sent those picks. If you're interested, be sure to check it out, man. Only 3 spots left. But we're jumping into the next game. It's between the Mystics and the Mercury. So you guys are probably going to not like these picks because they happen to be for players on the Mercury, but just give me a moment of your time. Let me explain it to you, and you might be willing to ride with me. So first one I'm looking at is Stephanie Dolson, and I'm looking at it over in a 3-point prop. So it's at 1.5 3-pointers made. Let me get that shit up right here. Now, I can understand if you guys are hesitant to bet on any of these Mystics players, given how unpredictable their rotations can be, but the matchup here for Stephanie Dolson is irresistible. I'll remember my bet on Jonquel Jones when she versed the Mercury, probably 2 weeks ago or so. Play for Stephanie Dolson pretty much follows the exact same script because of how juicy this matchup is. Now, Stephanie Dolson here, 8 teams in the bottom half of the league in defensive rating for spot-up shooting and above the break threes. Dolson's covered this line in 8 out of 11 games. Now, this Phoenix Mercury squad, they rank dead last in both defending spot-up shooting and threes from above the break. They also allow the 3rd most 3-pointers made to centers, given Griner sits in drop coverage in every single pick and roll, which means if Dolson sets a pick and she pops open, she's going to see some open looks from above the break. Fucking hell, I keep stuttering. She'll see some open looks above the break, and she'll make up for what she left on the table last time. So she played the Mercury twice this season. She's recorded, let me show you, 3 3-pointers made in their first matchup, but she only made 1 in their most recent matchup. In that game, 33 minutes, but she shot 1 from 5 from deep. So her percentages were awful. Now, Dolson is a 50% 3-point shooter. And when I last checked, number 1 in the league, Stephanie Dolson. She only played 17 minutes in her last game, though, against Dallas, which, you know, a little bit. But I'll leave it up to you to decide if you want to ride with me or not. So all those people leaving I've seen a lot of comments, actually, around Washington are tanking. They're doing too well to tank. They've won 3 out of their last 4 games. They're a shot at getting that 8th spot in the playoffs. So they're not tanking. They're just fucking around with lineups to see what works. And it's killing me. It makes it tough for us. 1.5 3-pointers made. Even in 15 minutes, she can get this shit done. Keep this in mind. This game here against the Mercury at the start of the season, where she made 3 3-pointers, she only played 14 minutes in that game. So Stephanie Dolson, I think she hits these 2 3-pointers early, or she's not hitting them at all. Let's go. Next one. Now, this one is, I put it down as a lean, and I'll explain why. So we're looking at Brittany Sykes, under 13.5 points. Now, I don't know what's going on with her. She was killing it. 20 points against the Spark, then 20 points against Seattle, and then 6, 9, and 6 in her last 3 games. So I want to bet the under, but I haven't come up with enough reasons why. So it's a lean for me right now. Maybe there's a part of me that's still pissed because I took her over against Dallas and she did nothing, 6 points. So the best thing to do is probably not bet on her, but knowing me and what I'm like, I'll probably find a way to get some action down. All right, let's start looking for our next pick. And who do we have? Julie Van Loo. Man, I can't tell you how happy I am to see her markets again. Haven't been able to bet on her since the Olympics, but her markets are available, and that means it's a good sign. She's made the bookies' radar. Now, for Julie Van Loo, if I was just betting normally, I'd take 0.5 3-pointers made at 1 unit, but that ain't me today. I'm looking at, and what I've already placed a bet on, is for Julie Van Loo over 3-pointers made. It's plus 230. If you line shop, you could find even better odds for it. Now, it would be an absolute lock, this play, if I knew what the fuck their coach was thinking, but betting it anyway. So Van Loo, she had her minutes cut back once Brittany Sykes returned. I can show it to you here in the last 20. Actually, let's look at the season. So minutes were pretty decent. Olympic break happened. Sykes came back, and her minutes have dropped off. So her roles changed. And look, Sykes is probably sleeping with the coach's wife these days, so she's playing less minutes. So we might see more Van Loo time. And I know that she can produce if she's given the right opportunity and the right matchup. So this matchup for Van Loo is absolutely perfect. Basically, she bombs threes from above the break, and that's where the Mercury are the worst. Worst in the whole league at defending this. She's also played the Mercury twice. Check this out. 5 3-pointers made in each game, which is astonishing. Keeping in mind, though, she did play these games without Brittany Sykes, without Shakira Austin, and there were a few other key scorers that were missing, so her minutes and her usage rate were high as fuck. So she's not going to get the same volume, minutes, or attempts, but this matchup is perfect, which is why I'm playing half a unit for her to get 3 3-pointers at plus 230. So a little bit risky, but the matchup is perfect, and I'll kick myself in the face if she gets 3, 4, or 5, and I don't have any action on it. So Julie Van Loo, final play of the day. I did look at a lot of the lines for these Mercury players, and to be honest, I just couldn't land on any of them. Playing at home, Diana plays good at home, but she's been shit lately. Natasha Cloud's just come back from her suspension. Other look is, it's not a lock, but I'd be pretty confident that this hits. Natasha Cloud over 5.5 assists. I'm not betting it because the odds aren't great, but you check that out. The hit rate on is astonishing, and even at home, it's even better. So Natasha Cloud could be a good look. But yeah, not going to force anything out. Got a couple players in WNBA. Got players on NFL. We'll have players on baseball as well. So yeah, don't unload the whole bankroll in a whole day, but excited. I'm looking forward to tomorrow and the set of games. So I encourage you guys, check out the VIP if you use code WIN. And I think there's still a few spots if you use the code TASTE. If you just want to get a trial, if you want and you don't want to spend the money, use the code TASTE when you sign up for VIP. It's a 7-day free trial. Let's win all the money you possibly can on this week's football. And then you can subscribe to the real thing the following week. Sound like a deal? I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.